Hey, what's up, guys? Your man Sean Zattel just wrapped up the Foster Ford fight live on the channel. And man, let's get to it. So, I think conditioning cost this fight for Raymond Ford as much as anything else. And the best analysis I could give on why that is usually Raymond Ford would be able to, at some point, go to his high guard, walk somebody down, and kind of concede things on defense sometimes, not try to slip every single shot, just catch it on the high guard. And then eventually when he got his work back, when it's his turn, he is so sharp and fast and with his combinations that his work is usually, in everything except the Nick Ball fight, better than the other guy's work, and he gets it done. In this fight against O'Shaquie Foster, he was knowing that when he gets his turn back, he's going to miss a lot of his shots, just like O'Shaquie Foster was missing a lot of shots against him. That's not enough. That's not going to get it done. So it's going to be a nip and tuck fight all night long. You're going to have to go feint for feint, counter for counter. And that was, high level stuff, high level hand speed and counter punching and defense. For a majority of this fight, not really a lot of clean, hard punches landed in this fight because both guys have really good reflexes and were defensively responsible and could counter each other and all that kind of stuff. So in the first half, I thought he was conceivably up 4-2, maybe 3-3. But in the second, right towards the end of the sixth round, you could see fatigue set in, and he was having both hands down below his waist. The high guard started to go away, and Foster picked up on it. Now, he wasn't picking up on it a whole lot when it first started to happen. I still thought he was cutting rounds too close at times, which cost him against Ropes and Conceição in that controversial first fight that he lost. But you could tell the second half of the fight, it was more O'Shaquie Foster. But still, through 10 rounds, even though ultimately the judges had it 10-2, 8-4 for Foster, but one judge had it a draw, and that didn't surprise me because there was a lot of swing rounds. There wasn't a lot to choose from in a lot of these rounds. So I thought, conceivably heading into the championship rounds, it was anybody's fight. And then Foster does what Foster has done in a number of fights. He turned up clutch. Ford has turned up clutch in fights before when he knocked out Klomatov in the 12th. But Foster's done it on multiple occasions, and he did it in this fight. And I felt like after that big 11th round he had, and Foster did start to, in the first half of rounds, let go of combinations, but then he would make faces. He would, taunt at Ford at sometimes. There was a lot of back and forth facial expressions at each other in this fight. Nope, that didn't land, and nodding, yep, I countered you, and all that kind of stuff. But really, again, it was scratch and stiff, nip and tuck. And while it was chess fought with a lot of speed, it wasn't true high-speed chess. To me, true high-speed chess is, De La Hoya Mosley, Leonard Hearns, fights that, Haney Lomachenko, fights that produce a lot of action alongside a lot of high skill level. And this fight, kind of like Inoue and Nakatani, was really just a lot of chess and then a big 11th round by the champion. Inoue, after playing chess with Nakatani for 10 really tight, tense rounds, he winds up hurting Nakatani with a right uppercut and closes the show in the 11th and 12th round to make sure he went home still the champion of 122. Foster had a big 11th round. He started to let more and more combinations go. Ford is blocking a lot of that with the high guard, but eventually he slips in a right uppercut, buckles Ford, follows up on it, presses his advantage with more combinations, and has the biggest moment of the fight in the 11th. He follows it up with a big first half of the 12th, and then down the stretch of the 12th, having the round won and having the fight won. The fight cruises out, and O'Shaquie Foster wins a much-deserved majority decision, backs up everything he says, and turns away a young, hungry bull that was talking a lot of shit and coming with a lot of energy in this fight and was hunting him down, but turned him away. So yeah, Foster, the longer jab, the longer arms, finding enough combinations in the second half of the fight, even when they're not landing, outworking Raymond Ford and having a strong second half of the fight. Early, Ford touched him with the straight left hand of the body a little bit, walked him down. Even though I thought he lost that third round, began to walk him down in the third round. He was punching in the clinches more than O'Shaquie Foster was. But Foster gained confidence in the second half and took the fight over and, deservedly retained his titles. So it was a tense chess match. Again, a lot of speed, a lot of counterpunching, a lot of really good defense. Ford then got tired around the 6th, and Foster did enough to win the fight and closed in emphatic fashion in the 11th and in the 12th. But I think that, it was funny to watch Shakur Stevenson get so angry. It was, remember Cameron with Bill O'Reilly said, "You mad, you mad." And shout out to Killa, my one-time co-host, who I hope to co-host more with. Shakur was very mad. That was the most angry I've ever seen Shakur Stevenson, okay? By far. The most angry I've ever seen him. And and then I remember like the Mad Rapper skit on Notorious B.I.G. Yes, I'm from New York, so we're referencing New York rappers here. Go Knicks, by the way, who are playing the Spurs in the finals. But she goes, "Yeah, I got a question. I'm Shay from New Rochelle," and Paulie Malignaggi once referenced this too. So Italians from New York, we can't help ourselves if we grew up in the 90s a little bit in New York. But she's like, "I got a question. Why are you so mad?" And the funny part is the Mad Rapper was the guy who's supposed to be more like O'Shaquie Foster, like who hasn't gotten that big fight yet, who hasn't made that big money yet, and these guys are on their third and fourth album. I'm still living with my moms. That's my word. And anyways, her question was, Shakur Stevenson was so mad, and Shay was from New Jersey, like Shakur is. So that was the most angry I'd ever seen Shakur Stevenson. He seemed to really be upset that Raymond Ford lost the fight. And what was funny is when he called O'Shaquie Foster a bum, it's like, well, then what does that make Ray Ford, who just lost to him? Your like little brother, the guy from New Jersey like you, who's a very good fighter, but came up short against a better fighter, against an excellent quality champion who's knocking on the door of the pound-for-pound list now in O'Shaquie Foster and has earned the kind of opportunity against a name like Shakur Stevenson. So they got heated back and forth. The reality is, though, Shakur is the favorite in that fight. I would have to favor Shakur in that fight. I don't think O'Shaquie Foster can out-Shakur Stevenson. They're both at their best or like to fight a majority of their fights at long range. O'Shaquie Foster steps it up when he needs to. He's clutch, and he's shown some good offense when he steps up his output and puts some punches together in combination. But for a majority of the rounds of his career, he's going to be more of a long-range sniper and a defensive artist. And I think Shakur is a step above him in that class. I think you would see an excellent quality champion against an elite champion. And it would be probably a lot like the Raymond Ford fight. Not a lot of clean punches landed, a chess match, not a whole lot of action. But it would be Shakur who would get the better of this one as opposed to O'Shaquie tonight against Ray Ford. But the build-up would be fun. The press conferences would talk mad shit, and that'd be fun to watch. But the press conferences might wind up being better than the fight. But O'Shaquie Foster deserves that kind of fight. I would prefer a Manuel Navarrete fight at 130 to find out who's the man at 130 once and for all. Navarrete has 2 belts. Shaq has been if you kind of give him a pass on the first Conceição fight, he's been reigning as a WBC champion for a long time. And has piled up a number of very good wins now and good performances. And, Navarrete is the dynamic when he's right, when he's not disinterested, out of shape Navarrete like he was against Baranchyk or Conceição. But when he's locked in, like against Valdez or Nunez, he is one of the most dynamic offensive fighters in boxing and deceptively rangy and punches off rhythm and off kilter and hits very hard and is excellent with combinations. And again, deceptive ranginess to his game. So that would be a hell of a fight, pretty much a pick'em fight. I think Foster would be a slight favorite because, as Jim Lampley used to tell me and told everybody, usually the defensive specialist, the shutdown artist, gets the edge over the offensively dynamic and exciting fighter. That would be Navarrete. So I think Foster would be a slight favorite, but it'd essentially be a pick'em fight. I would love to see that fight at 130. But it's not a particularly big fight. A much bigger fight for O'Shaquie would be Shakur, and that fight has a lot of animosity heading into it. Shakur has been on Twitter saying he'll welcome him to it. I favor Shakur in that fight, but O'Shaquie, the fun contrast between them, and I said this on my live, is O'Shaquie is the more relatable, seemingly down-to-earth, the guy who's come through the back door, pause, shout out to Cameron, of boxing. He's been the guy. My favorite fighter of all time is Bernard Hopkins. There's his poster right there behind me with Jermaine Taylor and Eric Morales being the other one. And Bernard Hopkins, he was a guy who went away to prison, reformed himself, became a really devout, hard-working professional champion who got it the hard way in boxing. Well, Shockey Foster once was locked up for something. I believe it might have been an armed robbery. I'd have to check again, but and he has genuinely turned his life around and become a very approachable, hard-working, excellent, skilled professional who is now earned his way win by win from going not even on television a couple years ago to knocking on the door of the top 10 pound for pound. And Shakur Stevenson, in contrast, because of his stellar amateur career, had the red carpet into boxing that he earned as an amateur, winning the first silver medal for men's boxing in a long time, and was signed from Top Rank as his professional debut, and has always been anointed and pegged as a future pound for pound talent, and he has delivered on that. So, and a lot of fighters think he's the only guy that can't be beat in around the lightweight and welterweight divisions. Foster was a guy no one really saw coming. He earned it through a different route in boxing. So Foster right now is like, he's the underground guy that people are rooting for. And a lot of people found him more likable heading into this fight. He was the more cool, calm, collected guy, while Ford was younger and brash and talking a lot of shit. And Foster turned him away with a very good performance tonight. So, you know, there'd be a lot of people in the hardcore boxing world rooting for Foster in that fight. And there'd be a contrast there in their two journeys in the sport. So, Shakur sometimes looked at as more of that diva, more of that entitlement, more of that star athlete. Foster more the everyman who's gotten it again from the back door. So that would be a fun build-up. I would favor Stevenson, but the night belongs to Shockey Foster, and the smart money was on him. Abraham Nova, who fought both of them, he was on the channel. He picked Foster to win a unanimous decision. Angelo Leo was on the channel. He picked Foster by unanimous decision, and Bruce Shushu Carrington picked him by unanimous decision, all on the channel. So Foster backed up his talk and may have just earned himself the kind of big opportunity he's been looking for a long time, and that he's earned and deserves. So for all that, that's it, and that's all. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the morning with Raheem. Peace.